About 2 years ago, I made this video talking about 6 of my favorite submods for AGOT, and I've been meaning to update that video. There's a few really fantastic ones that have come out over the years, and quite a few of these that you've seen on the channel that I've not talked about in a proper little showcase video like this. So without any further ado, let's begin. The first mod I'm recommending is going to have an asterisk next to it, only because I don't know if it's dead or not, but it is really good, and I do think you should at least give it a try if you can, if you're capable of. And this is Aeons Conquest. This is a mod that adds basically an entirely new bookmark with a bunch of events that allows you to replicate Aegon's Conquest and also have a few different events pop up. It's about 90 additional events covering Aegon's Conquest from start to finish. It does go by really quickly. There's a ton of stuff that you can do. There's a couple different variations. There's a few different canon events that have like some basically triggers that can alter the course of history if you so wish. I really enjoyed this one. The only thing that bothered me was that it was kind of buggy because the triggers are sort of random. They're not like decision based or anything. They sort of just happen depending on where you are. Like if you get to a certain spot, you know, something like the Field of Fire will happen if you just happen to be battling these two, or you know, you'll burn Harrenhal if you just happen to walk into the Harrenhal barony, which is fine. It could just sort of get a little chaotic with some of the events popping up like really quickly, which could be kind of annoying. But you are allowed to do some different events like add House Coherus as the Lord Paramount of the Riverlands, or you can have Harren the Black surrendering Harrenhal, which doesn't really make sense, but you could. You don't need any other submod for this, as it says, but if you look at the comments, you can see that the author has not responded to anybody in a while. So again, I'm putting this one in the beginning because I'm not sure. I do really like this mod. I haven't played it in a while since it came out, and I really enjoyed that video, but if it doesn't work, I do apologize, but it is worth checking out if you can somehow figure out how to get it to run, because it's a lot of fun. The next mod is more of a sandbox mod, and this is AGOT Bookmarked. A lot of you enjoy sort of making your own canon paths. This one has been updated fairly recently, so you know this one works. This essentially just adds a bunch of different bookmarks to AGOT for different historical events like the Dance of the Dragons, the First Blackfire Rebellion, just all sorts of stuff like that, the War of Five Kings. A lot of these aren't in the mod yet. These won't have the more elaborate story elements that you're used to, but if you're somebody who just really wants to sandbox play the War of Five Kings or the Clash of Kings or whatever you want to call it, or the First Blackfire Rebellion, you can do so within the confines of these bookmarks. It is still fun to do something like this, and I've actually done the First Blackfire Rebellion a couple times because I just find it entertaining. It's not a lot, however, for, you know, there's not a lot of events, there's not a lot of decisions. It is very much just like a plug and play. You're just kind of in this bookmark doing bookmark things, which AGOT itself has bookmarks like that anyway, where there aren't a lot of story elements, and it is intended to be more of a sandbox. So this sort of just adds more flavor as far as that goes, which is fun. I just really recommend it because, you know, there's a few different important events that have not quite gotten into the mod yet that I feel like this just adds and sort of like satisfies that hunger for now. Especially the First Blackfire Rebellion, which is one of my favorites. The entire Blackfire Rebellion saga is probably one of my favorite parts of the lore, as well as the Dance of the Dragons is pretty cool. That can kind of happen organically, so it doesn't really matter. And obviously the War of Five Kings, which is going to be just huge when it actually comes out. But for now, we have this, and I do recommend AGOT Bookmarked. It's quite fun. Next up, we're coming to a really fantastic submod, and this one is updated, thank God, because I love the Long Night. It is really hard, and it does make the game, it can make it kind of difficult, especially or it can be kind of boring if you're playing as, you know, the White Walkers, but it's really good. It's essentially an invasion. If you've not seen it, I have made a video for this as well if you're curious, where I played as the White Walkers or the others, and it's essentially, it adds the ability for the others or the White Walkers to actually spawn and the Long Night to begin and the War for the Dawn to begin. It's really cool. I found this one to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of great events, and it's been updated a few times, so it's a little less buggy than it was when I showcased it on the video. I mean, if you come down here, you can see the Long Night begins with the others usurping any AI-held land in the very far north. From there, they will be prompted to conquest indefinitely, and their army is insane. Basically, this is something that you can have trigger later on in the game, like say you want like 100 years or something, and then it'll trigger, and you can basically test your mettle against this insanely strong army, and you can win. You can sort of make like a coalition with a couple of the other rulers of the world, like to fight the others, which you can see right here, decision. It's a ton of fun. I think that CK3 in general needs more stuff like this, more invasion stuff. Like, you know, you have Genghis Khan now, who is properly difficult. This is a properly difficult fight So I think that it's something that adds a lot of flavor to the game, and it's something that's obviously in the lore and something that we've been waiting for in the books to kind of really flesh itself out, which, you know, probably won't ever happen. But at least in the confines of CK3 AGOT, you're able to experience this, and it's just a ton of fun. And also, I mean, I highly recommend at least one time making a run just playing as the others and just going through and absolutely murking the entirety of Westeros, because it goes by so quickly and you become so insanely strong. It's just a blast, and you kind of have to live that power fantasy sometimes, and I think it's fantastic for that as well. But do recommend playing it on both sides of the field, because it's a lot of fun. Next, we're on AGOT More Dragon Eggs. Now, this submod, I feel like a lot of people don't know that it doesn't just add more dragon eggs, because I didn't know that before I tried it like a couple weeks ago when I was just playing around on my own. It doesn't really give that impression, but it actually does. It adds more dragon eggs, but it also adds like a ton of different decisions and like features to those dragon eggs. Like if you look here, you know, you have stuff like the Summer Palace, you have showed the dragon eggs, you have a bunch of dragon lore stuff. Like there's a lot of different events and decisions and pop-ups that are incorporated into More Dragon Eggs. This is probably one of the most popular dragon related mods, besides maybe like More Dragon Decisions. Those two don't really play very well with each other from what I understand. I've never used that one. I've only used this one, and I turned it off anyway because I wasn't sure if I was going to do a series unrelated to dragons. And I don't like to have extra submods, but that's a side note that you don't really need to know, but I'm telling you anyway. There's a ton of different stuff. As you can see, I'm not going to read through all this because I feel like that's silly for an overview. But basically, this will give you, I mean, more dragon eggs. It'll give you more decisions related to dragon eggs, more things you can do with them. It's just some more flavor. It's a big flavor mod for dragon eggs, and I think that it's something that the game can use. I think it's fun. You guys love dragons. It's one of the best parts about the mod. It's one of the most integral parts of the lore. It's very well done. As you can see, there's a lot of game rules related to it as well, so you can sort of mix and match and customize it any way you like, which I think is also great too. Anybody who's watched the channel probably knew that this one was going to be on here. This is Legacy of Valyria. It's also probably on the thumbnail just because this is a heavy hitter submod. It's probably one of the most robust, one of the most feature heavy submods, if not the most feature heavy submods for AGOT. It adds this entire region. It adds a ton of new buildings. A couple, I think it has one or maybe two now new bookmarks. You can restore the glory of old Valyria. You can unleash dragons. There's a bunch of cool characters that you can play as. It's a really big mod. Unfortunately, fairly recently, it had sort of a schism where it used to have like a pretty robust magic system and a couple other features that have been since removed because of some internal issues. The mod is still really good as a land expansion, and I do recommend it for that. They have a really dedicated team, and they're very nice. I've never had any problems with them personally. And I also just enjoy making videos for this because it just gives you a lot more things to do. This is another like big, huge flavor mod, really, because for the longest time, not really, because for a while and still, this is adding a bunch of areas that you cannot really play as in AGOT as of right now. Braavos was on here for a while, but now thankfully Braavos is in the main mod. But you can play as like Dothraki, you can play over here as Ashai, you can play down here as the Giscar. I have had a really fun campaign, 2 videos actually, which I'll pop up on the side, where I've played here in Valyria and sort of just conquered a Slaver's Bay, which has been a ton of fun. I think it's fantastic. I think that there's so much you can do with it. There's so many different elements to it, a lot of hidden surprises and secrets. I definitely recommend this one. Try to restore Valyria, try to build Valyria somewhere else, maybe try to become tall and like rule from Volantis. You can really do whatever you want. I highly recommend it. I stay subscribed to this mod because I always mess around with it, but especially when they have a new update. So it's something that of course I had to put on this list, and I'm sure many of you have already played it, but if you somehow haven't played it, you should probably do that right now. It's basically a total conversion mod for this total conversion mod. It just adds a lot of stuff and it's great. And what's silly is after all of that, this submod is going to feel really stupid, and I'm sorry for that, but I love a good flavor mod, and I do pay attention to these things, these little background images, and this is basically just more holdings art. It's just called holdings art. And it does exactly what it says. It has 90 different castle holdings have been covered. A bunch of different holding images have been added to various parts of the game so that it just feels more dynamic. And it's something that I care about because I enjoy looking down and seeing like, oh, I have Harrenhal here, or I have one of these various other castles, and it just looks better. You know, you have Dorne, you have Sunspear, it just looks like Sunspear in the background. And I know that these tiny elements might not mean a lot to some other people. It does to me. It's a big reason why I love mods like this, or like more Men-at-Arms, or just like more decisions, more bookmarks, even if they're sandbox. I just like the ability as the player to have more options, even if it's just mostly for my own sake, like my own headcanon. This is just a beautification thing It doesn't do a whole lot mechanically, but it just means a lot to me. Like, I love the way the red keep looks in these art. And it also does require a mod that I mentioned previously in the past video, which is Cities of Wonder AGOT, which is by our lovely channel member Valadar, and I really recommend pretty much all of his mods. And you know what, I'm just going to do a shameless plug. I highly recommend pretty much every one of Valadar's mods, and it's not just because he's a channel member and he's been, you know, like a subscriber to this channel for years now, but they're genuinely really good. They are all fantastic. His AGOT tweaks is actually quite a lot of fun. We talked about this as he was making this, and there's some really sweet decisions in here. But this is sort of like unofficially a sub mod for a sub mod anyway, so you might as well just download this one. Cities of Wonder is probably one of the best mods still for AGOT. I mentioned it in the last video, so it kind of feels silly to add it here, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. I don't care. It's great. Okay. And that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed these 6 more fantastic submods for AGOT. I hope that you give them a try. If you have any other mods you do like people to know about, recommend them in the comments, or recommend them to me. Maybe I haven't tried them. I haven't played a lot of AGOT recently. I've been kind of giving other mods a chance to, you know, have their time in the sun, but I'm always willing to try new things because I love AGOT. As you know, it's like one of the bread and butter mods of this channel, and it's just always a fun time. But as always, I'm Soul. This has been yet another AGOT guide, and I will happily see you in the next one.